Hi all, this is E. Manjula, lecturer in Electrical, GIOE, Government Institute of Electronics, Secunderabad. So today's session is about the DC generators and the DC generators, the types of the windings, armature windings. So after completion of this session, you could able to know how many types of the DC generator windings are there in a DC generator and what are the important terms which are included in it. So first of all, we will see the what are the important terms which are there in windings. Okay, the first one is pole pitch, conductor, coil, coil span, or coil pitch, full pitched coil, fractional pitch, pitch of the winding, back pitch, front pitch, resultant pitch, commutator pitch. So these are the different important terms which are involved in the winding. So there are actually two types of windings, lap winding and wave winding. So these are the terms which are regularly used. So first of all, we will see that what is pole pitch, which is represented by YP. So it is a distance between second, take okay. So it is a distance between the two adjacent poles, and it is also equal to the number of armature conductors per pole. Okay. Example, we will see the example. If there are 36 conductors and 4 poles, so then the pole pitch will become, that is Yp is equals to number of conductors per pole, which is equals to 36 by 4, which is 9. So here the pole pitch will be 9. And conductor, so we already know the conductor, that is a wire. So it is a wire of a certain length lying in a magnetic field. Okay, so this is a conductor, so which is already bounded in a coil shape, and in which an EMF will be induced. Yes, coil. So what is a coil? So the two conductors AB and CD, their ends connected connection make one coil of an armature winding, like this. Here the two coils are made as, sorry, two conductors are made as one coil with a joint. Okay, so now we can say this as one coil. Here whatever in the picture we are seeing, there are two coils. Okay, and see here the coils, conductors and coils, number of coils. So what is coil pitch or coil span, which is represented by YS? Okay, so it is defined as the distance measured in terms of armature slots between two sides of a coil. So what it is telling here, the distance measured in terms of armature slots. Okay, measured in terms of armature slots between two sides of a coil. So this is one side of a coil and this is another side of a coil. See, say here the coil pitch or span of a coil A. We are taking only one coil. Say here A coil. So what is the span of that coil or coil pitch? So here we are measuring in terms of slots. Okay. So this is slot 1, slot 2, slot 3, slot 4 and slot 5. So the first end is in slot 1 and the last end is, and I mean the continuous end is in fifth slot. So it means fifth slot minus 1, 5 minus 1 which is equals to 4. So the slot span is 4. The coil pitch is 4. The coil span is 4. Okay. See, likewise we can even able to know the coil span of B coil. So this is sixth slot and the starting end is in third slot. So 6 minus 3, that is 3. So the coil span of coil B is 3. Coil pitch of coil B is 3. So full pitched coil. What is a full pitched coil? See here, if the coil pitch is equal to pole pitch. So we know the pole pitch definition, we know the coil pitch definition. When coil pitch is equal to the pole pitch, then the winding is called full pitched winding. Here, with an example, we can easily understand what is a full pitched. See, if there are 16 conductors and 4 poles, then the pole pitch is equals to 16 by 4, which is equals to 4. And the coil span of coil A, here, the previous diagram only, we know that the coil span of coil A is 4. So when both the coil pitch and coil span are equal, then it is called as full pitched coil. So now we will take coil B. So coil B is not a full pitched coil, okay, because this coil span will be equal to 3. So it is not a full pitched coil. So this winding is, the coil A winding is called as full pitched winding. What is a fractional pitch? If the coil pitch is less than the pole pitch, then the winding is called fractional pitch coil. So the B coil, what we saw, the coil span of B coil is 3, which is less than the pole pitch, that is 4. Okay, so there we can say that coil B is a fractional pitched or short pitched. So in this, the coil span is 180 degrees, electrical in degrees. Okay, example here, if there are 36 slots and 4 poles, the coil pitch is equals to 9 slots. Okay, so here the example what I told it before diagram, that B coil we can take as a fractional pitched coil. So what is back pitch? So here you can see in this diagram there is YB, YR, YF, YC indications. Okay. So the YB represents the back pitch, YR represents the resultant pitch, YF represents the front pitch, and YC represents the commutator pitch. Okay. We will see that uh, one by one. So this is a back pitch, that is YB. It is a distance measured in terms of number of armature conductors between the two coil sides of the coil measured around the back of the armature. See, it is measured in terms of the number of the armature conductors between the two coils. Sides of a coil measured around the back of the conductor. So, from this to the back of the conductor, from the starting coil to the end coil, we are calling it as a back pitch. What is front pitch? It is a distance between two coil sides connected in the same commutator segment. So if you see here, YF is here. So this is a front pitch. So starting of the coil and another coil conductor both will connected to only one segment of a commutator. Commutator, one segment it has been connected. So these two ends is measured as front pitch YF. So pitch of the winding. So it is defined as distance between the beginning of two successive turns. So that is Y is equals to YB minus YF in lap winding, Y is equals to YB plus YF in wave winding. So what is the resultant pitch? It is defined as a distance in terms of number of coils sides between the start of the one coil and the start of the next coil to which it is connected. Okay, so start of the one coil to the start of the next coil. So this is a, sorry, start of the one coil here and start of the next coil. So these two differences, so the distance between the two coils which are starting, that is a resultant pitch which is YR. What is a commutator pitch? Commutator pitch, it is defined as the distance measured in terms of the commutator segments between the segments to which the two ends of a coils are connected. Okay, so here if we see, this is the one end of the coil and the second end of the same coil is connected to the other segment. So the distance between the first segment, first starting of the coil to the end of the coil, the distance between these two is called a commutator pitch. So we have covered all important terms which are in winding. So we will see now single layer winding. What is a single layer winding? It is a winding in which one conductor or one coil side is placed in each armature slots. So this is a slot here. In this slot, only one conductor is placed. Then it is a single layer winding. So what is two layer winding? So two layer winding is in single slot we are using two conductors. So it is a winding in which two conductors or coil sides per slot arranged in two layers as shown in figure here. See, there are two conductors in one slot. So here if you see, one and two conductors in one slot. Okay, so it is a two layer winding. What are the types of windings? So there are two types of winding, that is lap winding and wave winding. So if you see here, the winding rotating like this coil wise, a spring type, then that is called a lap winding. And wave winding diagram will be in such a way like it is a wave flows, something like that. Wait, I'll show it. Okay, so this is called a spring type is called lap winding, and this pattern is called wave winding. So you can easily remember that a lap winding will be like a spring and wave winding will be like a wave, what waves. Okay, what is a simplex lap winding? So we will see the first type, lap winding. Okay, so here the lap winding, the finishing end of one coil is connected via the commutator segment to the starting end of the adjacent coil situated under the same pole. Okay, so the finishing end of the one coil is connected to the starting end of the other coil, adjacent coil, that to adjacent coil, and this coil also situated under the same pole. Okay, so like this is a lap winding. Okay, in this way all the coils are connected. See, like this. So what is a simplex wave winding? In a wave winding, a coil side under one pole is connected to the second coil side, which occupies approximately the same position under the next pole through the back connection. So if you see, so this is the north pole and this is the south pole. Okay, so from here to here, which is approximately the same position, but it is lying into the another pole. Okay, so like this it will be connected. Thus the wave winding progresses in one direction round the armature in a series of waves. Okay, so we will see now the comparison between the lap and wave winding. So lap winding and wave winding. First one, the first point. EMF generated in the lap winding is less when compared to wave winding. Okay. So EMF generated in wave winding is more. That is the first difference. And the second difference is winding carries high current, whereas in wave winding it carries low current. Okay. And third difference, that equalizer rings are necessary here in the lap winding. Equalizer rings are not necessary in the wave winding. The fourth point, copper consumption is more here and the copper consumption is less in wave winding. And the number of parallel paths is equals to number of poles in lap winding, whereas in wave winding, number of parallel paths is equals to 2. And the sixth point, that number of conductors are unrestricted here, whereas the number of conductors are restricted. And lap winding, the seventh point, the lap winding is suitable for low voltage and high current generators, whereas the wave winding suitable for high voltage and low current generators. And the eighth point, last point, in the lap winding, the number of commutator segments is equals to the number of slots, whereas in wave winding, equal to the number of slots. So here, now in this session, we discussed important terms of the windings, the types of the windings, in the types of windings, lap winding, wave winding, and comparison of lap winding and wave winding. So hope this total session is understood for you from the starting to the terms to the comparison of the windings. So this is about the windings of the DC generator. Thank you.